Fang Xiumin sighed, pretending to be relieved. If only someone else's daughter was as sensible as you are, that'd be great. However, some people still treat their daughter like a precious baby with no knowledge of herself at all. Liang Wanjun's breathing became faster at the mockery from this mother and daughter duo. Big sis, I know it's not easy for your family, but it's not easy on our family as well. Is managing a company easy for Jiahao? That money was earned from his blood, sweat, and tears, wasn't it? We're not rich and mighty, we really can't afford to have people live off us. Fang Xiumin said coldly. There were many guests in the vicinity and everyone started looking at them. Although they knew that Yi Xiaoting had been down and out these few years, they didn't expect that this family would be so ridiculous to treat someone else's home as their own and live there for so many years. Not only were they ungrateful, they didn't have the intention of leaving at all. Yi looked at this dispute with a trace of satisfaction in her eyes while her face remained gentle and warm as lifted her gaze to look at the unhappy Fang Xiumin and the helpless Liang Jiahao. She spoke leisurely, I'll pay for uncle and auntie, all right? And I'll also apologize on behalf of Yi Wanlu, today's grandpa's birthday banquet, so don't be so agitated. If grandpa finds out, he'll be upset again. Hearing what Yi said, Fang Xiumin's expression turned warmer, and considering that it was Yi Hongwei's birthday banquet, she didn't dare make a big fuss as she shook her head. Yi, it's not easy for our family either. All these years, this family has tormented us. Tell me, do you know of anyone who would be so shameless? They don't have their own house, yet they want to stay at someone else's house and not leave. Never mind that their own family isn't doing well, they even pulled others down with them. Yi sneered in her heart as her eyes swept across Yi Xiaoting's family while her face kept that elegant and warm expression. However, just as Yi was about to speak, a surprised gasp resounded from the back. Hearing that, everyone turned to the left to look. A fiery figure suddenly appeared in everyone's line of sight. A stunning lady dressed in a flaming red evening gown slowly walked in. Under the shining light, her flawless and astoundingly beautiful charm roused everyone's gasps of admiration instantly. Every frown and smile by that woman made their hearts palpitate with eagerness. A luster shone in her crescent eyes like they contained a galaxy of stars. Although she had the body of a delicate girl, her aura was extremely refined, unlike anything from the human world. In a split second, everyone was drawn to that stunning figure. Who is this? She's too beautiful, isn't she? From the showbiz. Impossible. I've never seen her before. I thought Yi's looks were already quite outstanding and didn't expect that there would be someone who looks even better. Where exactly did this girl come from? Every guest at the scene, no matter male or female, was completely dumbfounded. There was actually someone so remarkably beautiful. Everyone had doubts in their hearts and tried to guess who this person was. Yi and everyone else also noticed this stunning woman. Initially, Yi's appearance was already considered the most beautiful that night, but unexpectedly, that woman's appearance crushed Yi. Yi looked at that extraordinarily beautiful woman with a complicated gaze. She observed her graceful footsteps, each step moving towards them, and her brows furrowed slightly, a bad feeling inexplicably arising in her heart. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Liang Shihan was also shocked by that woman's appearance. She didn't expect that someone better looking than Yi would show up, but she didn't dare show her surprise on her face. The woman slowly walked past the crowd. As her figure went by, there were many gasps of surprise. However, just when everyone was trying to figure out where this woman came from, they saw her walking directly to Yi Xiaoting's table. She stood there, and her breathtaking eyes looked over everyone at the table, finally landing on Fang Xiumin. Her red lips started to open and she said in a very sweet voice, "What Auntie said was right." "Auntie?" Fang Xiumin stared at the woman with panic and suspicion in her eyes. Who exactly is this girl? Why did she call me Auntie out of the blue? Not only Fang Xiumin and Liang Jiahao, but every guest in every corner of the room was flabbergasted. "You are..." Fang Xiumin looked at the woman with doubt and hesitation. The girl smiled. Her red-stained lips curved into an attractive smile as she said casually, I haven't seen all of you for a short period of time, yet Auntie has already forgotten me? I'm Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan. In a split second, everyone was completely taken aback by what she said. What kind of joke is this? This woman of unrivaled beauty is actually the infamous ugly girl from the Yi family. Yi Wanwan. The guests who had seen Yi Wanwan before were knocked senseless. In the past, Yi Wanwan always smeared her entire face with thick makeup, and she looked completely atrocious like a tomboy. No one expected that once she removed the thick makeup, the real face of Yi Wanwan would be so stunning. This shocking outcome stupefied everyone at the scene. Senior, didn't you say that? Yi Wanwan's an ugly girl. A little fresh meat from Emperor Sky regained his senses after the shock and immediately turned to the guy next to him, confused. This. The guy's eyes didn't leave Yi Wanwan. He stood rooted to the ground as the corners of his mouth twitched. Who'd have thought that? Yi Wanwan actually looks so attractive without the makeup. You're lying, huh? This is Yi Wanwan. So this is the so-called ugly girl of the Yi family who's madly in love with Gu Yuze and was even dumped by him? One of the guests burst out in laughter. Truly, hearsay will always be hearsay, seeing is still believing. The ugly girl from the Yi family? Who are you kidding? With Yi Wanwan's looks, if this is ugly then Yi is completely inferior compared to her. If this is considered ugly, then what about all the female stars competing with their looks in the entertainment industry, which one of them wouldn't be considered ugly? At this moment, Gu Yuze was slightly dazed as he looked at Yi Wanwan with a hint of disbelief and shock. He didn't expect that this beautiful woman before him was Yi Wanwan, who normally had on atrocious makeup and clothes in the past. However, Gu Yuze glanced at Yi from the corner of his eyes and noticed that her brows were furrowed. He instantly concealed his astonishment and sat there, pretending to be calm. Wanwan. Seeing that Yi Wanwan had suddenly shown up, Liang Wanjun was still somehow unable to come back to her senses and couldn't believe her eyes. The woman in front of her was her own daughter. Yi Wanwan calmed her emotions, smiled and turned to her astonished mother, giving her a reassuring look. Liang Wanjun was taken aback. She even thought that she heard it wrong, but Yi Wanwan actually just addressed her. Fang Xiumin's face turned pale instantly. Even if she was beaten to death, she wouldn't be able to guess that this extraordinarily stunning woman before her was actually the girl whom she had repeatedly called ugly, Yi Wanwan. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Seeing that extremely delicate little face of Yi Wanwan's, then looking at her own daughter, Liang Shihan, Fang Xiumin's expression instantly darkened. If Yi Wanwan's an ugly girl, then what's my daughter? The corners of Fang Xiumin's mouth were still twitching when Yi Wanwan turned to look at her with her eyes narrowed. She spoke with a fake smile. Auntie, I think what you said just now really made sense. Fang Xiumin was taken aback and couldn't recall what she said. However, Liang Shihan, who had returned to her senses, revealed a touch of jealousy in her eyes when she saw Yi Wanwan's stunning looks. How is this possible? How could Yi Wanwan be so beautiful? It's not fair. Liang Shihan recalled what Fang Xiumin said and sneered immediately. Yi Wanwan, since this is the case, why are you still not taking your parents away? Fang Xiumin had just been harping about how Yi Wanwan didn't care about her parents and forced them to stay at someone else's house. Since Yi Wanwan felt what Mom said was right, she should take her parents back. Liang Shihan stared at Yi Wanwan, pleased with herself, and waited for Yi Wanwan's response. What's the use of being so good-looking? She's still a useless flower vase. Yi Wanwan smiled faintly at Liang Shihan's villainous smug look, and her smile widened. She tilted her head slightly and laughed. Shouldn't it be you, cousin, who should take your parents away? Yi Wanwan's words shocked Fang Xiumin and Liang Shihan. Yi Wanwan, what did you say? At that moment, Fang Xiumin suddenly stood up and pointed angrily at Yi Wanwan. Then Yi Wanwan shot a smile at them and a hint of coldness flashed in her eyes. Auntie, ever since the day you and Uncle got married, you've been living at our house. It's been over 20 years. Without waiting for Fang Xiumin to respond, Yi Wanwan immediately said, our family's not wealthy and neither do we have a big house. After you and uncle had Shirhan, it became more crowded and because of this, my brother and I couldn't return home and could only live away from home. Just now, cousin Shirhan gave a great speech and said that she'd take the two of you away so you guys wouldn't bother others. That's great. Then my brother and I can return home and live with our parents. Yi Wanwan, what nonsense are you talking about? Fang Xiumin glared at Yi Wanwan and said, it's obviously your parents living in our house. Facing the enraged Fang Xiumin, the corners of Yi Wanwan's mouth curled up, revealing a devilish smile. Auntie, you're old and probably forgot about it. Before, when you got married to uncle, the two of you were dejected and poor. Never mind the purchase of the house, even your wedding was settled by my parents alone and the house you're living in right now was purchased by my father personally, allowing you and uncle to live in it temporarily. But after that, auntie and uncle didn't seem to have the intention of moving out and my parents couldn't say anything either. After all, we're relatives, my parents obviously wouldn't do something so heartless like drive our own relatives away, and they hadn't collected a single cent of rent for 20 over years. However, I decided to speak up only when I heard that uncle and auntie have the intention of moving from cousin Shirhan's brilliant speech just now. If cousin Shirhan really has the backbone, then as her older sister, I feel quite relieved. With that said, Yi Wanwan looked at Liang Shirhan meaningfully and acted like she was unconvinced. However, from what I see, cousin Shirhan doesn't have the ability to do that right now. After all, she's been living in my house all this while and hasn't left before, so how can she even talk about taking her parents away? Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Yi Wanwan. Fang Xiumin gritted her teeth. Her expression darkened and her heart started beating anxiously. When she and Liang Jiahao got married, indeed, they didn't have a single cent to their names. All the wedding expenses were paid for by Yi Xiaoting, but Fang Xiumin never gave much thought about it. Since it was given to them, those things naturally belonged to them. She never dreamed that Yi Wanwan would reveal all this in front of everyone. Yi Wanwan looked at Fang Xiumin's agitated face and shook her head helplessly. She then turned to Yi Mufan and said, "Go, it's been hard for us all these years, huh? However, it's not easy for them since they're a blended family. Even if auntie doesn't want to move out as the younger generation, we have to endure a bit more. It's not nice to drive a family of 3 out anyway." Yi Mufan looked suspiciously at the glib-tongued Yi Wanwan, not expecting that his own younger sister would embarrass Fang Xiumin in front of so many people. He felt delighted in his heart. Although he couldn't remove the grudge he held in his heart, he still played along with her and mumbled, "Our skins are obviously thinner," implying that Fang Xiumin's family was thick-skinned. Yi Wanwan nodded. Exactly. Unlike some other people who act like thugs and are so territorial, taking what belongs to the owner and making it theirs, even driving the owner out. What's that saying again? Yi Mufan rested his chin on his hand and pondered, right in sync with Yi Wanwan. Pigeons living in a magpie's nest, Yi Wanwan chuckled as she looked at Fang Xiumin's family indifferently. At this point, Liang Jiahao's face was totally red and he couldn't find any words to rebut. At this moment, all the guests looked at each other with strange looks. From Liang Shirhan and Fang Xiumin's words, they were given the impression that it was Yi Xiaoting's family who refused to leave Fang Xiumin's place. But it seemed like that wasn't the truth. The house Liang Jiahao and Fang Xiumin were living in at the moment was actually a gift from Yi Xiaoting. The house that Fang Xiumin's family is living in was actually bought by Yi Xiaoting? I really couldn't tell. From what Fang Xiumin's family said just now, I thought they were so kind towards Yi Xiaoting's family, but now, on the contrary, it's more like Fang Xiumin's family took advantage of Yi Xiaoting's family. The phrase, "pigeons living in a magpie's nest," was really fitting. They've enjoyed the kindness of Yi Xiaoting's family, yet they mocked the owner of the house and even wanted them to move out. They're really thick-skinned. This has been a real eye-opener. TSK, that Liang Shirhan still spoke so sharply just now, no proper upbringing at all. I want to see just how she's going to take her parents away. Take her parents away? Didn't you hear Yi Wanwan mention that Liang Shirhan was still living in the house? Yi Wanwan, who are you calling a blended family? Are you even civilized? Fang Xiumin's face was red with ruthlessness in her eyes. Mom, she doesn't know anything about being civilized. I don't even know how she got into Qinghe High School. She's been the first from the bottom every year. I'm afraid she's already been expelled, Liang Shirhan said. Yi Wanwan wore a smile and remained silent for a moment before speaking. Obviously we aren't as civilized as Cousin Shirhan. With Cousin Shirhan's abilities, she should be able to take her parents away soon so my useless brother and I can return to live at home. After hearing what she said, Yi Mu Fan's body stiffened and he shot Yi Wanwan a look. What a joke, Liang Shirhan snorted disdainfully. How can you take back what you've given away? Yi Wanwan, we didn't ask for the house from your father before, they were the ones who gifted it to us themselves. What's the meaning of bringing all this up now? Fang Xiumin said viciously. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. At that moment, all the guests from every corner of the room were flabbergasted. Thick-skinned wouldn't be enough to describe this mother and daughter pair. Auntie, you don't have to be angry. Yi Wanwan laughed. Actually, the house that my parents gifted to you isn't big, so even if the three of you moved out, it's still quite small for the four of us. Since this is the case, on behalf of my parents, I'll gift the entire house to your family. Yi Wanwan then looked at Yi Xiaoting and Liang Wanjun and said, Dad, Mom, Auntie has a family of 3, it's not easy for her. If we really made her move out, I'm afraid they'll be homeless and if outsiders hear about it, they'll think we're heartless. A bunch of keys suddenly appeared in Yi Wanwan's hands. Dad, Mom. Yi Wanwan placed the keys lightly in front of the both of them. The keys were dark purple and were about the length of a finger. On top of each of them were the engraved words, Golden Seas. A house at Golden Seas? Seeing those keys, Fang Xiumin and Liang Shirhan were completely dumbfounded. Golden Seas was one of the most luxurious villas in Imperial City. Today, it was high valued but there was no property for sale now. Even if you had the money, you couldn't purchase it. How is it possible? Fang Xiumin was in complete disbelief. Isn't Yi Xiaoting's property at Golden Seas already foreclosed by the court? Even if it was taken back, that's an exorbitant amount. How could Yi Wanwan even have the ability to afford it? Liang Wanjun took the keys in a daze as she and her husband turned to look at each other, completely confused. Even Yi Mu Fan's eyes were filled with shock. Yi Wanwan's long hair fell casually on her back, and her gaze swept across Liang Shirhan's family with a sense of mockery as she said, So, Uncle and Auntie, the 3 of you can have that house for yourselves. I'm afraid that my parents won't be used to living in that kind of place. In other words, the house they treated like a precious gem wasn't suited for her parents to live in at all. That house was simply given to them because they didn't like it. Fang Xiumin gritted her teeth in anger and couldn't get any words out. At this moment, Yi Xiaoting looked at Yi Wanwan with a complex look. Is this person truly my arrogant and despotic daughter from my memory? Deep in Yi Xiaoting's mind, the 2 figures simply couldn't be reconciled, and he felt that they were 2 totally different people. From her look today down to her attitude and actions, there was just too big a contrast. Yi Wanwan, so what if you have a villa at Golden Seas? Who knows how you even obtained that property? Such a young age, yet you don't even have a proper job and still haven't graduated from high school and were even expelled. You're just a piece of scum in this society. Liang Shirhan pointed at Yi Wanwan and sneered viciously. She heard news that the school expelled Yi Wanwan long ago and wasn't sure what this woman was doing outside now. Yi Wanwan didn't even look at Liang Shirhan, nor did she even have the slightest desire to respond. Shirhan, you'll be entering Imperial Media University soon and will be one of the elite pillars of society, so don't you waste your breath debating with this useless scum. Fang Xiumin sneered. Imperial Media? It's at the peak of the pyramid in the media profession, it's highly revered. All the guests seemed doubtful as many of them sized up Liang Shirhan. Being able to enter Imperial Media at this age, her future will be bright and limitless. Many media experts couldn't enter Imperial Media even if they wanted to. Imperial Media University was said to be the most stringent in their enrollment in all of Imperial City. Although there weren't many who were accepted in each round, those who walked out of there became the elites of the media world. Hearing the surrounding discussions, a proud smile replaced the gloominess on Fang Xiumin's face instantly as she looked condescendingly at Yi Wanwan. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Shirhan, let's go congratulate the old man. When she considered how her daughter had been admitted to imperial media, Fang Xiumin became arrogant once again. She stood up and hauled Liang Shirhan towards the main seats at the front. Following the arrival of Liang Shirhan and Fang Xiumin at the main table, a group of elders turned to them. Grandpa, I want to wish you a healthy, long and enjoyable life. Liang Shirhan looked at the elderly man with an obedient smile. Yi Hongwei didn't move at all. He was extremely composed, and although he looked a little old, he still had the dignified manner of a lion. After some time, Yi Hongwei nodded, indicating his appreciation. Shirhan, Fang Xiumin gestured to a white-haired old man wearing glasses seated next to Yi Hongwei. This is a guest professor at Imperial Media, Professor Liu. Hurry and greet him. Not long from now, Liang Shirhan would be entering Imperial Media University, so Liang Xiumin naturally wanted to take this opportunity to introduce her to Professor Liu. How are you, Grandpa Li? Liang Shirhan asked in her sweetest voice. Hearing that, Liu smiled and replied, Liang Shirhan, right? I know that for this batch of students, you must be quite outstanding to enter Imperial Media at your age. You have to put in much more effort in the future, all right? Thank you for your praise, Grandpa Li. I will work hard for sure. Liang Shirhan nodded obediently. Fang Xiumin was about to speak when a gentle voice interrupted her from behind. Grandpa, I wish you longevity and happiness. Yi Wanwan was donned in an appropriate evening gown and her actions were extremely elegant. Seeing Yi Wanwan, Yi Hongwei's brows furrowed instantly. Yi Hongwei didn't have a good impression of this granddaughter of his. In the past few years, Yi Wanwan barged into the old residence of the Yi family and made a huge racket countless times. Each time, Yi Hongwei's impression of this girl worsened, and today, he didn't want to see her at all. Yi Hongwei's tone had an obvious hint of coldness. Noticing the old man's attitude towards Yi Wanwan, Liang Shirhan had a complete lack of apprehension as she shot a glance over at Yi Wanwan. My mother and I still have some things we want to discuss with Grandpa and Professor Liu, so please leave us for a moment. Without waiting for Yi Wanwan's response, Professor Liu suddenly stood up, narrowed his eyes and wiped his glasses with his fingers, taking a good look at Yi Wanwan. Which school did you graduate from? Professor Liu asked. Mr. Li, I'm afraid you'll think it's a joke if I told you Yi Wanwan got expelled by the school even before she graduated high school. Fang Xiumin gave Yi Wanwan a sideways glance and sneered before Yi Wanwan replied. Yi Wanwan? At that moment, Professor Liu's face was blank and a hint of bewilderment flashed in his eyes. You're a student from Qinghe. Upon seeing Professor Liu's reaction, Yi Hongwei's face turned ugly. Everyone at this table was an important guest. Could it be that this Yi Wanwan had been so disgraceful that even Professor Liu knew about it? With that thought, Yi Hongwei gave Yi Wanwan an even more critical gaze. Yi Wanwan looked at Professor Liu and nodded slightly. Yes, I am. No wonder I thought you looked quite familiar, Professor Liu said excitedly and revealed a touch of warmth in his eyes. Professor Liu looked at Yi Hongwei, whose expression was completely frozen, and said with excitement in his eyes, Old man, this granddaughter of yours is outstanding. Hearing Professor Liu's words, everyone in the room was stunned and didn't understand what he meant by that. Both mother and daughter, Fang Xiumin and Liang Shirhan, looked at each other, in total confusion and bewilderment. Yi Hongwei was taken aback, and he asked casually, What do you mean? Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Huh, old man, don't you know yet? Professor Liu laughed and gestured towards Yi Wanwan. He said, This granddaughter of yours is outstanding. She's had the top score in our city for the liberal arts paper. Amongst everyone in this batch of new students, Wanwan secured the first place. No, actually, for the past 3 batches of students, nobody surpassed Wanwan. Us, Imperial Media, nearly started a big fight with Imperial City University over her. Thankfully, Wanwan finally chose Imperial Media. I even wondered which family had such a great blessing to be able to raise such an outstanding girl. I didn't expect it'd actually be your family. I say, old man, you've hidden this precious granddaughter of yours very well. In the past, I've only heard you mention Yi, but I didn't think that you groomed someone even more amazing. Yi Wanwan, I really have to take my hat off to you. Professor Liu became more excited as he looked towards Yi Wanwan with an undisguised admiration in his eyes. Professor Li, you're flattering me. I was just lucky. Yi Wanwan smiled and replied gracefully. Wan, if I had your luck in the past, I'm afraid I would be so full of myself that I wouldn't know my own name anymore. You can still be so calm and composed, huh? Professor Liu laughed and shook his head, becoming increasingly fond of this neither servile nor overbearing, cool-headed girl. Wan, you were wrong. All of a sudden, another elderly man stood up at the main table and shot an unhappy look at Liu. This elderly man was dressed in a white suit, radiating health and vigor from his body. He appeared to be a rich and honorable person. He was no stranger to everyone. He was Zhou Qinggang, a board member of Imperial City University, which claimed to be the top institution in Imperial City. Wanwan, Imperial City University promised that we would recommend you for postgraduate studies, but you chose Imperial Media University in the end. It really hurt our hearts. Imperial City was really genuine and sincere in inviting you to join us, and our conditions were in no way worse than Imperial Media's. Zhou Qinggang sighed and felt it such a pity that he couldn't snatch such a good seed from Imperial Media. If he'd known that Yi Wanwan was Yi Hongwei's granddaughter, he would have definitely come over to Old Ye's place to snatch this girl. Zhou Qinggang, Wanwan already chose us, Imperial Media, so you should stop harping on about it. Anyway, when school starts, Wanwan will be a student at Imperial Media University, so you should just give up. Professor Liu laughed. That may not be the case. This hasn't been confirmed yet. Wanwan merely had this intention, so who knows, she might choose Imperial City University in the end. Zhou Qinggang didn't want to admit defeat. He even turned to look at Yi Wanwan and tried to express that he thought very highly of her. At this moment, these two prestigious academics of Imperial City were fighting over Yi Wanwan like kids. This scene silenced all the guests in the room as if there were only Zhou Qinggang and Liu's voices left in the world. It was as if there were roots growing out of their feet. Both mother and daughter, Liang Shihan and Fang Xiumin, stood rooted at the same spot. There was a simultaneous explosion in their heads before everything went blank. The one they called incompetent and useless, the scum of society, was actually someone academics from Imperial Media University and Imperial City University fought over. Didn't Liang Shihan and Fang Xiumin say that Yi Wanwan hadn't graduated from high school and was expelled? Yes, they did. I almost believed what they said and never expected this turn of events. I see that Yi Wanwan hasn't even said a single word to refute. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. How is this not a rebuttal? She's treating mother and daughter like clowns and doesn't even show the slightest desire of caring about them. This is a true goddess. Yi Xiaoting and Liang Wanjun watched as Liu and Zhou Qinggang fought over Yi Wanwan at the front. They felt as if they were in a dream and everything was unreal. They couldn't connect all this with the daughter who had broken their hearts. Old Yi, you should persuade that precious granddaughter of yours to come to Imperial City University. You know yourself how high our teaching standards are. Zhou Qinggang turned to Yi Hongwei and changed his target, honing in on Yi Hongwei instead. Yi Hongwei immediately became the focus of the main table. Yi Hongwei was slightly startled. He turned to look at the calm and composed Yi Wanwan with a complex look. It hadn't hit him what the two people were debating about. Yi Wanwan actually had such astounding results. She really exceeded everyone's expectations. Old Yi, you better not be up to any mischief. Otherwise, I'll break all ties with you. Liu was upset and spoke hurriedly, afraid he'd lose to Zhou Qinggang. Wanwan, your intention is to enter Imperial Media, right? Don't be swayed. Li Yu didn't forget to warn Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan stood by the side, unsure whether to laugh or cry as she watched these two squabbling over her. Her eyes suddenly met Yi Hongwei's mixed gaze, then a grin spread across her face. She walked slowly until she stood in front of Yi Hongwei directly and said gently, "I'll listen to Grandpa." Listen to Grandpa? All the guests at the scene thought they experienced an auditory hallucination. They already heard that Yi Wanwan and the Yi family's old man were like fire and water and that she often appeared at the Yi old residence to wreak havoc. But at this moment, Yi Wanwan stood right in front of Yi Hongwei, looking completely like an obedient granddaughter. Where's that trace of animosity between them? Tonight, it seemed like every bit of hearsay about Yi Wanwan was just rumors that would be taken down by Yi Wanwan personally. Even Yi Xiaoting and Liang Wanjun were in disbelief, much less the guests. This was really the daughter who hadn't visited them for years and had a deep feud with the Yi family? As for Yi Mufan, he looked as if he'd just seen a ghost. Fang Xiumin and Liang Shihan's minds went totally blank with each piece of news blasting their heads one after another, instantly destroying any arrogance and smugness they had. They had no clue how to retreat to their seats and didn't dare to speak a word. They really wished everyone would forget their existence. At the side of the main table, the old man, Yi Hongwei, sized up this granddaughter standing in front of him again, pondering something. "Old Yi, this is truly a precious granddaughter. She'll even listen to you about which university to choose." Zhou Qinggang felt rather helpless. "Old Yi, what do you think?" Professor Liu asked anxiously. Hearing this, Yi Hongwei thought deeply for a moment. His far-sighted and majestic eyes restrained an inexplicable glow as they swept across Yi Wanwan's face. He then retracted his gaze and spoke in a steady and powerful voice. "Since her intention was originally towards imperial media, that shall be it." This old Yi. Zhou Qinggang's only hope was shattered and his face had nothing but resentment all over it. "Pa, old Yi, you really dote on your granddaughter and know the strength of imperial media." Liu was very glad and satisfied with Yi Hongwei's words. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Watching from a distance, Yi Xiaoting had been silent all this time. He furrowed his brows as he looked at Yi Wanwan, who seemed to have turned into a completely different person, and his heart was filled with doubt. The daughter from his memory would never be so sensible and obedient, and she even hated the Yi family to the core. Yi Xiaoting wondered whether the sudden appearance of Yi Wanwan at her grandfather's birthday banquet was simply for her to give her grandfather her wishes, or did she have any other motives like ruining this banquet and embarrassing the entire Yi family completely? Yi Xiaoting obviously didn't want his own daughter to do that, but it had been so many years, and he was honestly quite tired of it already. Yi Wanwan caught wind of her father's suspicions unintentionally and felt desolate. In her previous life, her behavior was indeed too much, and she really was like fire and water with the Yi family. She never forgave her parents and was filled with hatred. In her previous life, she did attend her grandpa's birthday banquet and she caused a complete pandemonium at the scene in front of all the guests, making her parents and the Yi family thoroughly embarrassed. Her grandfather was so agitated that he had a sudden heart attack and was hospitalized for half a month. With that thought, Yi Wanwan retracted her gaze and slid closer to Yi Hongwei. Yi Hongwei didn't reject Yi Wanwan, and even the coldness from his face dissipated. At this moment, it had already been quite some time since the start of the banquet, and guests headed to the chairman's seat, one after another, to wish him well and present their gifts. The gifts from the guests were mostly just a formality and didn't have any significance in the eyes of the older generations. They merely took a glance at them and didn't find any novelty in them. After some time, Liang Jiahao and Fang Xiumin's family went up. Liang Shihao held onto a considerably costly inkstone in her hands and presented it to Yi Hongwei. Then using her sweetest voice, she said, "Grandpa, I know you like to write and draw, so my parents spent a very long time to specially prepare this inkstone for you. I hope Grandpa likes it." Fang Xiumin spent quite a bit of effort in order to obtain the inkstone and prepared it to be gifted to Yi Hongwei at his birthday banquet to win his favor. Due to the incident just now with Yi Wanwan, Fang Xiumin had completely embarrassed herself, and she had to depend on this inkstone to win the old man's favor. Yi Hongwei's gaze swept across the inkstone and nodded slightly, getting someone to put it aside. Although Yi Hongwei didn't have any special reaction, his slight nod was an indication of approval that made Fang Xiumin and Liang Shihan both heave a silent sigh of relief. Shortly after, Liang Shihan glanced at Yi Wanwan's empty hands. Wow, it's Grandpa's birthday, yet someone actually came empty-handed. TSK? Shihan, you better not learn from some people who only know how to be pretentious and bring only her big mouth to Grandpa's birthday. Fang Xiumin had lost face in front of Yi Wanwan just now, so she couldn't miss an opportunity to mock Yi Wanwan. Grandpa? Yi Wanwan looked at Fang Xiumin and Liang Shihan, and the corners of her mouth curved up slightly, revealing a cold sneer. Who's your grandpa? Following what Yi Wanwan said, a few guests laughed instantly. The smile on Liang Shihan's face stiffened instantly. The meaning behind what Yi Wanwan said was very obvious. Fang Xiumin's family didn't have anyone with the surname Yi, but Liang Shihan kept calling him grandpa so affectionately, just thinking about it made her nauseous. You! Fang Xiumin glared at Yi Wanwan, her face completely contorted in anger. You better not bring your daughter here and claim kinship in such a senseless way. We, the Yi family, never had the practice of simply acknowledging any random people as family. Yi Wanwan turned away when she finished speaking without bothering to see their reaction. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. With just a few words, Yi Wanwan instantly made it clear to everyone that she was Yi Hongwei's blood granddaughter and had the true blood of the Yi family flowing in her. This was her stage. While Fang Xiumin and Liang Shihan instantly became mischief-doers with just a few words from Yi Wanwan. At this moment, both mother and daughter were totally embarrassed. Facing criticism from all the guests, their faces turned red and they didn't dare to speak anymore. The gift-giving segment continued, and after Fang Xiumin and Liang Shihan presented their gifts, everyone was very curious to see what Yi Wanwan prepared as a gift. Even the person on the chairman's seat, Yi Hongwei, kept turning to look at Yi Wanwan. At this point, Yi Wanwan felt slightly helpless in her heart. At this point in time, she was still impoverished and didn't have any spare cash to buy an expensive gift, so she could only put in more effort on the thought and bought a few Buddha pearls at the antique market. Then she personally strung them into a bracelet. Although she did put a lot of thought into it, it wasn't expensive. Following another guest who finished presenting his gift, Yi Wanwan took a few steps forward, looked at Yi Hongwei and said gently, "Grandpa, Wanwan has prepared a little gift for you as well." All right, Yi Hongwei nodded slightly. However, even before Yi Wanwan could take the Buddha pearls out, housekeeper Huang Mingkuan entered the banquet hall, holding an exquisite box in his hands. "Old master, this is the gift Miss Wanwan prepared for you. It was placed out at the front just now and I saw it, so I brought it here." Huang Mingkuan spoke while a look of victory flashed in his eyes. Seeing this, Yi Wanwan's expression changed slightly. She deliberately placed this gift box outside the villa as she was afraid it'd cause a misunderstanding, so she didn't bring it in. In the box was the weird bone ornament she purchased from Nameless Nia for 100 yuan. Yi Wanwan scanned the box carefully and it was obvious that the packaging had been tampered with by someone. Obviously, Huang Mingkuan opened the gift box and after he saw the bone ornament, he brought it in on purpose to frame her. Today was her grandfather's birthday banquet, a joyous occasion, and according to the older generation's interpretation of their destinies, if they found any bone product similar to a skull, an iciness emerged in Yi Wanwan's heart. This Huang Mingkuan was really loyal towards Yi, and even now, he hadn't forgotten to trip her up. However, the gift box was already in Yi Hongwei's hands and Yi Wanwan couldn't stop him even if she wanted to. What did Yi Wanwan get him? It looks quite heavy. I'm not sure, it really does look quite heavy. Yi Wanwan was Yi Hongwei's blood granddaughter, so whatever she gave him would naturally attract everyone's attention, and also, Yi Wanwan had already given them all quite a few surprises today. Everybody started speculating about how extraordinary Yi Wanwan's gift would be this time. At this moment, Yi Hongwei reached out with both hands and slowly opened the gift box. However, The second he opened the gift box, there were gasps from all over the hall and everyone's face changed. After Yi Xiaoting and Liang Wanjun saw what was in the box, their entire bodies stiffened and their faces turned ashen. All they saw was that in the exquisite gift box was a white skull lying there quietly. They weren't sure which animal the skull belonged to, but it seemed ferocious and particularly dazzling under the light. Everybody fell into a dead silence at that moment, and all their eyes were trained on Yi Hongwei. At that moment, Yi Hongwei's pupils constricted, and after taking a few deep breaths, his entire body shook as he lifted his head suddenly, and his ice-cold eyes were like daggers, piercing directly through Yi Wanwan. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Yiwan, you're outrageous. At that moment, Fang Xiumin's sharp voice resounded. It's Grandpa's birthday, yet you actually dared to give him such a terrible and disgusting thing. What intentions do you have? You're seriously deranged. Liang Shihan saw the gift from Yi Wanwan and stood up instantly. She pointed towards Yi Wanwan and snapped at her. The group of elderly people seated at the main table, even Li Yu and Zhou Qinggang, frowned and looked at Yi Wanwan in disbelief. Tonight was her grandfather's birthday banquet, so why did Yi Wanwan give him such an inauspicious thing? Even on normal days, one should never give something like that to an elder, much less on their birthday. How was this meant for celebrating someone's birthday? It was obviously meant to rush someone to his death. Sensing Yi Hongwei's icy cold stare, Yi Wanwan furrowed her brows and her heart sunk. Grandpa, this wasn't the gift I prepared for you. Yi Wanwan, housekeeper Huang already said this was gifted by you. You dared to give but dare not admit. I really didn't expect you to be so vicious. After all, the Yi blood flows in you, so how could you do something so atrocious? You're worse than a beast. What intentions do you have? Fang Xiumin didn't give Yi Wanwan a chance to explain it all and eagerly threw stones while she was down. At the main table, almost everyone's eyes were on Yi Wanwan except for an old pedant who was around 80 years old. His eyes were on the bone and he looked unconvinced. After all the guests had seen the bone, they all had strange looks in their eyes. Yi Wanwan's gift was truly an eye-opener. Liang Shihan and Fang Xiumin's accusations and scolding were automatically disregarded by Yi Wanwan. There was a slight calmness on her delicate face. She hadn't expected that she'd be entrapped by housekeeper Huang Mingkuan. Yi Wanwan kept her emotions in check and secretly plotted her next move. Yi Hongwei was akin to a glacier that wouldn't melt in thousands of years. The cold light in his eyes was terrifying, causing anyone to tremble in fear. At the main table, all the important guests turned to look at each other, confused. On the other side, Yi Xiaoting and Liang Wanjun were just as silent. Due to their relationship with Yi Wanwan, they were unable to help. Bring a magnifying glass. Suddenly, the old pedant narrowed his eyes and broke the silence. Although nobody knew what the elderly man needed it for, someone still brought a magnifying glass over to him. After he took the magnifying glass, the elderly sized up the bone eagerly. Nobody at the scene understood what he was doing. He peered through the magnifying glass and from time to time, he exclaimed in surprise and disbelief. Yi Hongwei and the group of elderly people at the main table were all puzzled. After some time, the pedant stood up and held up the bone ornament right in front of his eyes. Masterpiece. He mumbled something softly and the light in his eyes glistened brightly. Oldie, can I speak to you about something? He looked at Yi Hongwei and made this sudden request. Hearing that, Yi Hongwei didn't understand. Why don't you give me this thing? He stopped speaking at that point and shook his head. No, why don't I exchange my Rise of the Dragon with you for this? Once he said that the entire hall fell silent. However, after a short period of silence, there were gasps of surprise. Rise of the Dragon? Could it be one of the collector items from the great carving master, Ouyang Yu? Indeed, that old pedant is indeed Ouyang Yu himself. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Rise of the Dragon is Master Ouyang's proudest masterpiece in the last 2 years. All the guests were stunned. What exactly was Yi Wanwan's gift that even Ouyang Yu would exchange his Rise of the Dragon for it? Even Yi Hongwei himself had a weird look on his face, much less the guests in the hall. Huh, old Yi, didn't you tell me before that you appreciate my Rise of the Dragon very much? Come, let's trade. Ouyang Yu was speaking to Yi Hongwei, yet both his eyes never left the bone structure, and one of them seemed to even contain a burning heat. Yi Wanwan, who had been racking her brains for a solution, also turned to Ouyang Yu with a puzzled face. Who am I, where am I, and what just happened? Great carving master Ouyang Yu wants to swap his Rise of the Dragons in exchange for that thing I bought from the antique market for 100 yuan. What the heck? Old Yi, it's decided. I'll take this away and get someone to bring the Rise of the Dragon over here tomorrow. Ouyang Yu embraced the bone structure and didn't seem to want to give it back. As the head of the Yi family, Yi Hongwei was very sharp and immediately said, "Give it to me." Ah, you're not exchanging? I thought you found this thing very ominous? Ouyang Yu was suddenly very upset. I won't exchange it for now, Yi Hongwei replied expressionlessly. Ooh, why are you so stingy? How about Rise of the Dragon, with the peacock flies southeast? Ouyang Yu ground his teeth together. The peacock flies southeast. Gasps suddenly reverberated at the main table. The peacock flies southeast was one of the early works of Ouyang Yu. Although it wasn't as great as Rise of the Dragon, it was still extraordinary. Old Yi, don't ever exchange it with him. Ouyang Yu, this old chap, has never suffered a loss before. Professor Li Yu was the first to regain his senses as he reminded his friends swiftly. Not exchanging, Yi Hongwei spoke with conviction. Hearing this, Ouyang Yu was filled with disappointment and was very unwilling to return this bone structure to Yi Hongwei. His eyes were even more unwilling to part with it. Following Ouyang Yu's extreme reluctance to part with the bone structure, he still returned it to Yi Hongwei, and all the elders at the main table started sizing up the bone structure curiously. It was a pity they still couldn't tell what it was exactly. Even Yi Hongwei, who was experienced and knowledgeable, couldn't come up with a reason why it seemed so valuable. Old Yi, this granddaughter of yours is really filial. This birthday gift from her is truly a masterpiece. Ouyang Yu couldn't help but speak up. At this moment, Yi Wanwan felt a little hesitant. This great carving master couldn't have seen it wrong because of his poor vision, right? Old Ouyang, what exactly did Wanwan give him? I really can't tell, Zhou Qinggang probed curiously. Hearing that, Yi Hongwei looked over as well. Ouyang Yu lit a cigarette and took a long drag before replying. From the workmanship and professionalism, it can be rated as amazing. With this practice of technique and this grade of bone, it has an extraordinary implication. Generally speaking, this was made by a top craftsman during the ancient Rome era, and it was placed in the king's mansion to bring luck and shake off evil spirits. Ouyang Yu had some doubts as well. It's just that I can't really tell what material this is made of, but from the forging method, it's definitely not a fake. In my perspective, it's a gem. Oh. After Ouyang Yu said that, everyone couldn't help but size it up carefully before Yi Hongwei had a chance to speak. The anger and disgust in his eyes instantly vanished and was replaced by a hint of surprise. The more Yi Hongwei inspected it, the more he realized that this bone structure had a very domineering spirit. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Having heard what Ouyang Yu said, Liang Shihan and Fang Xiumin nearly dropped their jaws in shock. At first, they thought what Yi Wanwan gave was extremely ominous and never expected that it'd be considered a gem by Ouyang Yu. Seeing that Liang Shihan and Fang Xiumin still wanted to speak, Liang Jiahao immediately glared at them with fiery rage. Haven't we been embarrassed enough tonight? Get back! Liang Jiahao stared sternly at Fang Xiumin, seeing Liang Jiahao, who never lost his temper, become so agitated for the first time. Both mother and daughter's hearts shuddered in fear as they followed Liang Jiahao out and left without a word. At the main table, Ouyang Yu didn't want to give up just yet as he said, Old Yi, say something. Are you exchanging or not? Yi Hongwei was silent for a while before he spoke. This isn't my birthday gift. Wanwan said just now that this art piece wasn't what she prepared. When Yi Wanwan heard that, her eyes shifted slightly as she walked towards Yi Hongwei and said in a very gentle voice, "Grandpa, although this art piece wasn't given by me, it was from my father." "Oh." Yi Hongwei looked at Yi Xiaoting, who was seated nearby. At this moment, Yi Xiaoting was stunned. "Since when did I—" "Dad." Yi Wanwan quickly strode forward and pulled Yi Xiaoting's elbow, leading him to Yi Hongwei. "Grandpa, my father spent almost half a year begging an expert in order to get this." Yi Wanwan blurted out some nonsense she just came up with. "Who's the expert?" Yi Hongwei asked. "Grandpa, that expert already retired, so he doesn't want his name revealed." Yi Wanwan was worried her father wouldn't know how to answer, so she simply made up a story. Yi Hongwei didn't give much thought to what she said. After all, this item was authentic and Ouyang Yu already confirmed this point. "Xiaoting, is this really the gift you prepared for me?" Tonight, this was the first time Yi Hongwei looked at this son of his who had let him down. "This." Yi Xiaoting turned to Yi Wanwan, who was next to him. Due to the urging in her eyes, he finally nodded his head and said, "Yes, father. I hope you like it." Yi Hongwei's expression turned warmer. "It's rare that you're so thoughtful." After speaking, Yi Hongwei gave a sideways glance at Ouyang Yu and stood up, taking back the bone structure. Since it was given to him, he obviously had the right to keep it. "Are you really so stingy? Can't I even do some research with it?" Ouyang Yu was suddenly upset. Yi Hongwei didn't bother responding. He placed the bone structure aside, then said, "Xiaoting, what do you call this thing?" This bone structure was much more valuable than Ouyang Yu's Rise of the Dragon, so Yi Hongwei naturally wanted to know its name. Yi Xiaoting was obviously unable to answer, and Yi Wanwan quickly said unflinchingly, "Grandpa, Dad's friend said this item has no name and is waiting for someone whose fate is intertwined with it to give it a name. Why don't you name it, Grandpa?" "Really?" Yi Hongwei inspected it carefully and thought deeply for a moment. "Then, let's call it Demon Subduer, how about that?" Yi Hongwei was extremely satisfied with this bone structure and had given it a name personally. Ouyang Yu stroked his beard and sneered unwillingly, "Demon Subduer, it does indeed suit this item." Hearing that, everyone started chiming in and praised. Huang Mingkuan's face sunk completely when he realized that not only did he not make a fool out of Yi Wanwan, he even put her in the limelight. He was about to say something, but he made eye contact with Yi in the crowd, and only then did he retreat, albeit unwillingly. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. After that, Yi Wanwan and her father returned to their seats. Their table was in the corner, so aside from people in their family, there was nobody else there. After everyone returned to their seats, the whole family was silent. Yi Wanwan sat on an empty seat next to Yi Mu Fan, opposite her parents. Just now, Yi Wanwan's aggressiveness towards the hateful uncle's family and her fluid performance in front of her grandfather and the guests was done so skillfully and easily, like a butcher handling a cleaver. At this moment, everyone felt helpless and blanked out, completely unable to speak. Yi Mu Fan had been burying his head and drinking alcohol the whole time, while Yi Xiaoting looked very perplexed and was completely silent. Liang Wanjun kept looking at her daughter and couldn't sit still. She had many questions she wanted to ask, many things she wanted to say, but when she recalled the misunderstanding and attitude of her daughter towards them, she was hesitant and didn't know how to communicate with her daughter. There was a deadlock in the atmosphere. Yi Wanwan clenched her fist and was about to speak, but she swallowed her words back once they reached the tip of her tongue. She already prepared numerous things to say and do when she saw them again, but now, her brain was at a complete loss. What should I say? Sorry? Hundreds, no, thousands of sorries wouldn't be enough for all the outrageous deeds she did in the past. She spent so much effort and had done so much. She toiled over her studies, but after reaching this point, she realized that everything she did was useless. It was all useless. When she saw her parents' old and frail faces and how her parents were ridiculed by her uncle and auntie's family in front of everyone, the guilt and remorse spread in her heart, making it even harder to face them. Yi Wanwan opened her mouth, but her throat was exceptionally hoarse. In the end, when Liang Wanjun looked at her daughter like that, She couldn't hold back anymore and didn't care whether her daughter still hated and despised her. Using her maternal instincts, she reached out her hand and gently stroked her daughter's hair while heartache filled her eyes. You're thinner. It must be really hard outside." Hearing that, Yi Wanwan was taken aback at first, then the tears started flowing as she crashed on the table. And Yi Wanwan's tears were like a switch, they immediately broke the silence. Liang Wanjun didn't care about anything else and went past her husband and son, rushing over to her daughter. "Wanwan, what's wrong? Why are you crying? Have you been bullied outside?" Not only was Liang Wanjun worried, but even Yi Xiaoting, who wasn't good with words and had been silent throughout, became anxious and looked panicky. "Baby, what's wrong? Hurry, tell Daddy. Did someone bully you?" Yi Wanwan's tears flowed down even more profusely. After how she treated them in the past, after all the ridiculous things she did, she was still worried that they'd never forgive her and what she should do if they really didn't forgive her. However, never did she consider what to do if that didn't happen at all. Just from a single teardrop, they held no grudge against her and still cared so much for her and loved her as always. "Mommy!" Yi Wanwan suddenly pounced into Liang Wanjun's arms. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have treated you and Daddy like that, shouldn't have said those words that hurt the both of you. I know my mistakes, please don't be mad at me, don't leave me, all right?" Suddenly being embraced by her daughter and hearing her daughter say those words, Liang Wanjun's face was filled with disbelief and tears started flowing out as well. "Silly child, how could Daddy and Mommy be mad at you? Liked it?" Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Yi Xiaoting's eyes were slightly red as he turned away in an attempt to hide his face. Yi Mu Fan looked at his younger sister who seemed to have become a completely different person. He was perplexed, remaining silent, but there was an obvious hint of doubt in his eyes. Yi Wanwan looked at her father. "Daddy, sorry. I know my mistakes. I was the one who harmed you. You're in this plight because you tried to save me. Our family's in this plight all because of me." Hearing her words, Yi Xiaoting's face changed and he lowered his voice. "You? How did you find out? Who told you?" Yi Wanwan rubbed her nose and thought about it. It seemed like there was no reasonable way of explaining how she found out about this. Thus, she turned her head towards Yi Mu Fan and said, "Good, you told me." Better to push the blame onto her blood brother. Yi Mu Fan, who was minding his own business and drinking alcohol, heard what she said and his face was totally stunned. He received a smack on his back from his father before he could even react. "Bastard! Didn't I tell you never to tell your sister, huh? I didn't say it. How could I have said it?" "Not you? Then tell me, how did your sister find out?" Yi Xiaoting didn't believe him. Liang Wanjun also blamed him. "Mu Fan, you're ridiculous. What if something happens to Wanwan?" Yi Mu Fan was so mad that he glared at Yi Wanwan. "I really wasn't one who told her. This girl is lying." Yi Wanwan buried herself in her mother's embrace, blinked then said meekly, "I'm not lying, he is lying." "Bastard! You're still lying." Yi Mu Fan got another smack from his father. "Damn! Why do you guys believe her and not me?" Yi Mu Fan was so mad and kept yapping on about how neither of his parents believed him. With all this noise, the atmosphere around the family of four became much more harmonious. Now they understood why Yi Wanwan underwent such a drastic change. At the same time, Liang Wanjun and Yi Xiaoting were very worried. They were afraid their daughter had suffered too much trauma and couldn't handle it. Yi Wanwan naturally saw through her parents' worries, so she comforted them. "Daddy, Mommy, don't worry, I'm really fine. At first, when I just found out the truth, it was quite hard to bear, but I know there's no use feeling terrible and upset. I have to study hard to make the two of you proud, work hard so you guys don't have to worry about clothing or food. It's my fault, so I must bear this responsibility. I will get back everything that belongs to the Yi family." Yi Mu Fan couldn't help but look at her. If this was in the past, he would definitely scoff at what she said, but now she did, in fact, get into imperial media with top results and her attitude changed drastically. However, the things she did in the past made it hard for him to believe her. Seeing that their daughter had actually grown up overnight, Liang Wanjun and Yi Xiaoting were touched, but their hearts were breaking. She must have gone through such painful times to end up with such a big change. Yi Xiaoting sighed. Wanwan, it's not your fault. It's Daddy's fault. Daddy didn't protect you well enough. Liang Wanjun's heart was in pieces. Wanwan, you don't have to suffer like that. Daddy and Mommy are fine. We just want you to be well. Yi Wanwan wiped her tears. The reflection of light in her eyes was like a myriad of stars. Daddy, Mommy, don't keep treating me like a small child. I've already grown up, and I can protect the both of you now. The husband and wife's eyes reddened as they listened to her words. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Yi Mu Fan seemed a little drunk. His eyes filled with ridicule as he sneered in a low voice. Protect? Just you alone? How are you going to protect? Our family's done for. Everything ended long ago. Everything's gone. Right now they had nothing at all, so what could they use to fight second uncle's family? How could they take back what was theirs? She's so naive. After Yi Mu Fan spoke, the table entered a silence once again. At this moment, gasps of amazement suddenly resounded from the main table. Immediately, all the guests turned towards the main table. Yi Yi and Gu Yuzhe had taken out a calligraphy painting and were about to unroll it. The words on the painting had a simple and unadorned vibe, but it looked like it could suck viewers into the painting and let them experience the scenery from long ago, firsthand. Yi Hongwei stared at the painting for a long time, and a trace of astonishment appeared in his eyes. At the main table, a few of the elders who were passionate about calligraphy painting immediately jumped up and stood next to Yi Hongwei. After they inspected the painting, each of them gasped in amazement. It's amazing! This is really the writings of Mei Jingzhou, Great Master Mei. An old man exclaimed excitedly. At the bottom of the painting was the genuine seal of Mei Jingzhou. Autumn dusk in the mountain? Yi Hongwei couldn't shift his gaze away from the calligraphy painting. Yi Hongwei was passionate about calligraphy and painting antiques. Calligraphy painting was at the top of his list of favorites. Currently, the person he admired most was the national treasure and painter, Great Master Mei Jingzhou. Every calligraphy painting by Mei Jingzhou had an extraordinarily high value. There was nobody in the entire country who could surpass him. Grandpa, this is indeed autumn dusk in the mountain, Yi said softly. Grandpa, Yi knew you loved Great Master Mei's calligraphy painting, and after numerous tries, she managed to obtain this painting from Great Master Mei. Gu Yuzhe laughed. Not long ago, Gu Yuzhe used his status in Gu Group and his father's name to request this painting. Initially, he wanted to get Great Master Mei to appear at this banquet, but it was a pity. Great Master Mei was really hard to invite and only said he would consider coming without giving him a definite answer. At first, Gu Yuzhe and Yi were still somewhat hopeful, but Great Master Mei hadn't given them a reply up till now. It must have been hard for you, Yi. Yi Hongwei looked at Yi with an adoring gaze. As long as Grandpa likes it, Yi's perfectly content, Yi replied. This is the greatest surprise that Grandpa received today, and also my favorite birthday gift. Good children, very thoughtful of the both of you, Yi Hongwei smiled. At this moment, housekeeper Huang Mingkuan rushed to Yi's side and whispered a few words into her ear. Really? Yi's face was filled with surprise. Huang Mingkuan just told her that Great Master Mei had come personally with a gift. Yuzhe, Great Master Mei is here. Yi pulled Gu Yuzhe to the side and said excitedly. Hearing that, Gu Yuzhe was slightly taken aback and asked in disbelief, Great Master Mei really came? Then, Yi nodded. He just reached the house and will be here soon. At this moment, Gu Yuzhe looked at Yi and said with a gentle smile, I already said there wouldn't be a problem. Yi was filled with happiness as she looked into Gu Yuzhe's eyes with admiration. It's all thanks to Uncle's reputation. With that said, everyone in the hall turned their gaze to the back with a swish. A certain elderly man around 60 years old dressed in a gray and white tang suit strode into the hall with his assistant. Damn. No way. Is it really the man himself? Mei Jingzhou, Great Master Mei? All the artistes from Emperor Sky were completely dumbfounded. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Yi and Gu Yuze immediately stood up and walked towards the elder. Great Master Mei, we're truly honored to be able to finally see you. Yi looked surprised and was extremely welcoming. Good evening, Great Master Mei. I'm Guzong's son, Gu Yuze. Gu Yuze smiled and introduced himself. Mei Jingzhou nodded. Good evening. Indeed, he knew who Guzong from Imperial City Gu Group was. The two of them had some interactions before. Some time ago, Guzong also spent a hefty amount to obtain the painting Autumn Dusk in the Mountain. Seeing Yi and Gu Yuze standing at the sides of Mei Jingzhou, all the guests in the hall suddenly saw the light. Not only did they give the old man a calligraphy painting of Great Master Mei Jingzhou, they even brought the master here personally. Not far off, Yi Xiaoting also kept looking towards Great Master Mei Jingzhou. Just like his old man, Yi Xiaoting also appreciated Great Master Mei Jingzhou's calligraphy paintings and revered him. He already wanted to meet Mei Jingzhou for some time, but Mei Jingzhou was a very private person and didn't appear in public often, so he hadn't had any chances to meet him all this time. Yi Wanwan narrowed her eyes and appeared amazed. It's really Mei Jingzhou? Yi Wanwan wasn't very familiar with Mei Jingzhou, but her father and her grandfather both loved Great Master Mei's calligraphy painting, so she knew a little about him. She also knew what bringing this man here meant. At this point in time, the Gu family's power already reached this point. They were actually able to invite Mei Jingzhou himself to attend Grandpa's birthday banquet? Yi Xiaoting sighed. It's Great Master Mei Jingzhou himself, there's no mistaking it. Yi Mu Fan looked sideways at Yi Wanwan face of worship. That's right. It's Mei Jingzhou. Your fiancé's so capable. Great Master Mei, this way please. Gu Yuze raised his right hand and gestured respectfully, leading in front and walking towards the main table. Yi accompanied Mei Jingzhou. Her movements were elegant as she softly informed him of Yi Hongwei's situation. Just as he reached the main table, the elders all stood up and greeted Mei Jingzhou as if they were on familiar terms, and each person went to shake his hand. Old Yi, this granddaughter of yours is really capable. She actually managed to invite Mr. Mei Jingzhou over. One elder laughed, clearly envious. At this moment, Yi Hongwei was already standing up, right next to Mei Jingzhou. Seeing Mei Jingzhou, he was still somewhat in disbelief. Mr. Yi, since it's your birthday, I prepared something small for you. Yi Hongwei was overwhelmed with honor. He went blank for a period of time before reacting. Great Master Mei, the Yi family is already greatly honored by your gracious presence. Yi Hongwei truly admired Mei Jingzhou. Mei Jingzhou smiled slightly and allowed his assistant to step forward, presenting two calligraphy paintings. The assistant opened both paintings and placed them before Yi Hongwei. The first painting was a majestic white tiger roaring in the woods with a torrential river. The white tiger was vivid and lifelike. Its stance looked like it could escape from the painting. Amazing! Any works from the hand of old Mei are indeed admirable. Li Yu and Zhou Qinggang peered closely and praised him to the high heavens. Yi Hongwei was astonished. This drawing from Mei Jingzhou was at a completely different level compared to Autumn Dusk in the Mountain. Shortly after, everyone caught a glimpse of the second painting. There were dark clouds everywhere with thunder and lightning. In the clouds, there was a green celestial dragon brushing the clouds away, revealing the dragon's head overlooking heaven and earth, mountains and rivers. It had a hint of unyielding and tyrannical grandeur, and it made the viewer feel as if he was really there, looking up at the azure dragon in the painting. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. After a long time, Yi Hongwei's eyes finally left the two paintings. He couldn't hold back as he exclaimed, Mr. Mei's works are truly eye-openers, amazing, amazing. This painting is called Heaven and Earth. The dragon protects the heavens, and the tiger protects the earth. It looks like two separate paintings, but actually, if you put them together, it becomes one entire art piece. Mei Jingzhou smiled. Heaven and Earth. The dragon is the king of the heavens, the tiger guards the earth, great name. The group of elders started commenting. Mr. Yi, I'm giving these 2 paintings as a birthday gift to you. I hope you'll accept them, Mei Jingzhou said. This is too much. Although Yi Hongwei was exceptionally happy, he naturally had to refuse this expensive gift. Mr. Yi, you're too kind. They're just some works I did while I was bored. I'm happy as long as you like it, Mei Jingzhou laughed. Grandpa, this is a token of appreciation from Great Master Mei. You should accept it, Yi said. Hearing that, Yi Hongwei nodded. All right, thank you so much for the nice gift, Mr. Mei. At that moment, everyone in the hall was flabbergasted that Yi and Guyuze seriously gave the most impressive gift tonight. Not only did they give him the painting Autumn Dusk in the Mountain, they even invited Mei Jingzhou himself, who then gave Yi Hongwei another painting, Heaven and Earth. Yi Hongwei looked at Yi with an adoring gaze. His granddaughter, Yi, had given him too many surprises during the banquet tonight. Old Yi, it's a huge blessing to have such an obedient granddaughter like Yi. Haha, I really didn't expect her to invite Great Master Mei over to celebrate your birthday. No one can deny that Yi and Guyuze put a lot of effort into this. Hearing the praise from the guests at the main table, Yi Hongwei obviously enjoyed every bit of it. Yi laughed gently. We, as the younger generation, have to do our best to get whatever Grandpa likes. After Mei Jingzhou finished toasting Yi Hongwei, everyone wanted to step forward and talk to him, but he turned and started walking in another direction. Not far off, Yi Wanwan watched this scene calmly. She noticed Mei Jingzhou had turned around and his eyes met hers. Then he started walking towards her. Miss Wanwan, I trust you've been well since we last met. Mei Jingzhou quickly reached Yi Wanwan with a smile on his face. Seeing that Mei Jingzhou was suddenly speaking to her, Yi Wanwan was stunned. You've been well since we last met? She hadn't met Mei Jingzhou before. Furthermore, she wasn't even in the same league as him. Yi Wanwan knows Great Master Mei as well? She made Great Master Mei go over and say hello to her. They must know each other. Yi Hongwei placed his wine down and followed behind Mei Jingzhou as he asked in surprise, Mr. Mei, you know Wanwan? Hearing that, Mei Jingzhou nodded and said, Of course, we became friends despite the difference in age and have known each other for a long time. Oh! Yi Hongwei was even more surprised. Yi Wanwan actually knows Great Master Mei? Yi Xiaoting and Liang Wanjun had the same look on their faces. They never knew Yi Wanwan knew Mei Jingzhou. Miss Wanwan, you should have told me about the party earlier. I could have prepared more, Mei Jingzhou said. Yi Wanwan blinked and stood rooted to the ground. She had no idea what Mei Jingzhou was saying. Is he really talking to me? Great Master Mei, what's the meaning of this? Yi Hongwei and everyone else had the same bewildered expression. Mr. Yi still has no idea? Mei Jingzhou smiled. I'm here tonight at Mr. Ye's birthday banquet because of my little friend Wanwan's request to congratulate Mr. Yi on your birthday. Mei Jingzhou's words were like thunderclaps on the ground. The entire hall went completely silent. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. In the banquet hall, it was completely silent as everyone's eyes immediately shifted from Yi and Guyuze to Yi Wanwan. Everyone initially thought that Yi was the one who invited Mei Jingzhou to celebrate Yi Hongwei's birthday, but just now, Great Master Mei Jingzhou said his presence had nothing to do with Yi. Following what Mei Jingzhou said, the smiles on Yi and Guyuze's faces instantly froze. What Great Master Mei meant was, you were invited by Yi Wanwan? Of course, Mei Jingzhou said matter-of-factly. Guyuze choked. Although Yi Wanwan looked calm and expressionless on the surface, deep down, she was in complete turmoil. What's going on? Why did Mei Jingzhou say he knows me and that he's here at grandfather's birthday because of my request? I'm afraid nobody in all of Imperial City can invite Mei Jingzhou. How was I able to invite this great god? Yi Wanwan didn't understand until a name randomly flashed in her head. Yi Han. If he was behind this, getting this great master to come would be a piece of cake. But how could that be? It was already an enormous favor for him to not prohibit her from going to the birthday banquet, so why would he go to such lengths to present such a great gift to her grandfather? How could Mei Jingzhou be here not because of Gu Yuzhe's dad's invitation but instead, because of me? Gu Yuzhe was obviously in disbelief and wanted to continue probing, but he saw that Mei Jingzhou's attitude was very clear and if he kept asking, he'd only make a fool out of himself. Thus, he could only put on a calm and composed face and say, "Whatever brought you here, we're glad you were able to make it today." Yi also chimed in earnestly, "That's right, as long as Grandpa's happy." I really didn't expect that Yi Wanwan would know someone like Great Master Mei Jingzhou. At this moment, the entire hall was filled with exclamations of surprise. Seems like we were all wrong. This granddaughter from the Yi family, who was said to be useless and incompetent, is actually a lady with hidden talents. Exactly. She's actually friends with someone like Mei Jingzhou despite their age gap. Which person from the younger generation in Imperial City could accomplish that? Even if Yi Xiaoting is down and out now, as the saying goes, a tiger father would never beget a dog daughter. At this moment, Yi Hongwei viewed Yi Wanwan in a different light once again. Could it be that this granddaughter, whom he had completely given up on, had really been enlightened and straightened out her thinking? After Yi Wanwan modestly chatted a bit with Grandpa and everyone else, she found a chance to speak to Mei Jingzhou alone. "Mr. Mei, do you really know me?" Yi Wanwan looked at him with an inquisitive gaze. Although he didn't seem to have any ill intentions, this whole situation was fishy, so she still wanted to clear things up. Mei Jingzhou said earnestly, "Of course, Ms. Wanwan." "Why do you ask?" Seeing that Mei Jingzhou was steadfast in his convictions, Yi Wanwan grew even more suspicious as she mumbled, "How could that be? Why don't I recall meeting you?" "I'm afraid you've forgotten, little friend." Mei Jingzhou didn't change his expression and looked a little disappointed even. The corners of Yi Wanwan's lips twitched. "I'm still very young." "What do you mean?" Mei Jingzhou was confused. Yi Wanwan smiled slightly. "What I meant was that it's not possible for me to get dementia at such a young age. I think I really don't know you, Mr. Mei." Mei Jingzhou coughed lightly. Yi Wanwan didn't want to beat around the bush, so she asked directly, "Mr. Mei, did Si Han send you here? Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon." Mei Jingzhou furrowed his brows and looked confused. "I really have no idea who Miss Ye's talking about." Seeing that Mei Jingzhou maintained this genuinely confused expression, Yi Wanwan was completely flabbergasted. She was adamant that she had never known someone like Mei Jingzhou at all. There was no chance. She never thought that the great master would be so proficient in acting. His acting skills were too great, huh? Forget it, since he refused to confess, there was no use even if she kept pushing the matter. Yi Wanwan could only give up and return to her parents. Gu Yuzhe had been staring at Yi Wanwan for a while now and his face turned ugly, seeing her converse happily with the great master. That bony artifact was one thing, but no matter how capable Yi Wanwan was, it was impossible for her to invite someone like Mei Jingzhou to attend a private birthday banquet. There was only one person capable of inviting Mei Jingzhou in all of Imperial City. Thinking about that person, Gu Yuzhe's face darkened immediately. Ever since he left Jean Garden that last time, he hadn't asked about Yi Wanwan again. It was already extremely benevolent of him to offer to help Yi Wanwan that one time. Initially, he thought Yi Wanwan would get sick of the game after a couple days, but he didn't expect that after so long, she'd still be involved with that guy. Yuzhe. Yi, what is it? Are you alright? What are you thinking about? Gu Yuzhe looked at the delicate beauty standing next to him, and his expression turned gentle and soft. Of course. I'm thinking about us. If Yi Wanwan wanted to humiliate herself, she could go ahead and humiliate herself. Anyway, what she did had nothing to do with him anymore. Today, he would cut off all relations he had with her and give Yi a proper status. Yi knew what he was referring to, so she blushed and said casually, "I'll go say hi to Uncle and Auntie." Gu Yuzhe furrowed his brows. "Whatever for?" Yi looked at him helplessly and persuaded him, "Yuzhe, don't be like that. We're relatives after all." Gu Yuzhe couldn't rebut. "I'll go with you then." Then the two of them carried their wine glasses and walked over to Yi Xiaoting's table. Yi said courteously, "Uncle, Auntie, It's rare to see you guys drop by. Let me know if you need anything. My parents and grandmother were unable to make it today due to the big snow at country, so the airport closed. I'm managing the banquet alone, so if you find anything unsatisfactory, please forgive me. Her speech was flawless and was masterful. Gu Yuze didn't have any intention of speaking to Yi Xiaoting and the others. He didn't even look at Yi Wanwan as if he was afraid that Yi would be upstaged. He simply stood quietly by Yi's side the whole time. When Yi Xiaoting saw the two of them going everywhere as a couple throughout the banquet, he already felt very upset in his heart. Now, they were still acting like that right in front of him, and his face turned much uglier. As Yi Xiaoting's expression darkened, he looked at the young man whom he had admired a lot in the past. Yuze, I already see you as my child and your engagement with Wanwan still exists to this day, but you're acting like that with Yi in public. Where's your respect for Wanwan? Facing the interrogation from Yi Xiaoting, a shadow of gloominess appeared on Gu Yuze's face and he said, Uncle Yi, in the past, I always regarded you as someone I deeply respected, but I really didn't expect that you would betray your family and harm the company's interests just for your personal gain. People who walk different paths can't make plans together. I can't disregard my morals just for the sake of our past relationship. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Gu Yuze spoke with righteousness all over his face before turning to Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan and I never had any feelings for each other from the beginning, but Uncle Yi kept forcing me. I think I've already been nice not to turn against you. Hearing what Gu Yuze said, Yi Mu Fan's tightly clenched fists nearly flew into his face. Clearly, this bastard disregarded his principles in the pursuit of profits. Seeing that his dad lost everything, he immediately started fooling around with Yi but was afraid people would start talking, so he didn't immediately call off the engagement. Now he's saying that he endured humiliation and carried a heavy burden. He's completely shameless. Although Yi Mu Fan sneered in his heart, he purposely kept quiet and smiled wryly at Yi Wanwan. As expected, when Yi Wanwan saw Gu Yuze, she was instantly frightened and hadn't dared to say a word from the start till the end. Sorry, Mr. Yi Xiaoting, in consideration for the past friendship we had, I've been making Yi suffer for way too long. My engagement with Yi Wanwan comes to an end right now. Gu Yuze didn't even address him as Uncle Yi anymore. He turned around and promptly left with Yi after speaking. Wanwan. Yi turned towards Yi Wanwan and left with Gu Yuze with an apologetic look. This ass hit asterisk. Yi Xiaoting was so mad that his face turned red and his chest heaved violently. Today, he hadn't felt provoked from all the humiliation he received today, but at the moment, he was furious. Liang Wanjun pulled her daughter's hand, worried. Wanna? Yi Mu Fan looked at the Yi Wanwan who still hadn't muttered a word and scoffed softly at her with a look of ridicule. Yi Wanwan, you're really something. You didn't even so much as let out a fart when you saw Gu Yuze. Didn't you speak so well just now in front of Daddy and Mommy? What's up? Feeling dejected from seeing him being so protective and caring towards Yi? Talk about protecting Daddy and Mommy. I bet once that Gu guy simply raises his finger and beckons you over, you'll forget about your surname, your name, who gave birth to you and who raised you, huh? Mu Fan, stop it. Liang Wanjun shot a look at Yi Mu Fan crossly. Yi Mu Fan humphed, did I say something wrong? You can change mountains and rivers, but not a person's nature. It's not like this hasn't happened before. Just a piece of advice. Please take a good look at her tonight. If not, we never know whether we have to make a spectacle of ourselves once again. Yi Mu Fan's attitude didn't bother Yi Wanwan, and the corners of her mouth curved upwards into a lazy smile as she chuckled. Guji, you worry too much. I didn't open my mouth because I can't be bothered to speak to that person. After all, people grow up and their tastes change. Today, your little sister really has to turn her nose up at level Gu Yuze's at. Yi Mu Fan was taken aback when he heard that. He obviously didn't expect Yi Wanwan would say something like this. In the past, if he said a single bad thing about Gu Yuze, she turned hostile towards him. Yi Wanwan continued leisurely, I'm unlike Gigi. After so many years, your taste hasn't improved at all. Yi Mu Fan could hear the sarcasm behind Yi Wanwan's words and his face changed. He immediately slammed the wine glass in his hand onto the table. Yi Wanwan. What do you mean by that, huh? Yi Wanwan smiled fakely. Good, you said yourself that I would forget my surname and name for a man and wouldn't even acknowledge my parents, but what about you? Are you any better than me? Weren't you completely entranced by a girl as well? You didn't even hesitate to descend from your status and become a slave. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Yi Mu Fan was exasperated. Alright, it's not easy for our family to be together like this today, so stop fighting. Liang Wanjun saw the two siblings had started fighting again and quickly tried to intervene. Yi Mu Fan suppressed the fiery rage within him and continued drinking his wine non-stop. At this moment, the banquet was halfway through. Yi took the microphone and stood on stage entertaining the guests and offered birthday wishes, naturally and unconstrained, exuding a grandeur and gracefulness. As Yi Shaoan, his wife and the old madam were unable to rush back due to the snow, this entire grand banquet was managed solely by Yi from beginning till the end. Everything was clean and orderly, so the main guest was extremely grateful. Every guest had their eyes on Yi was full of praise for her. She's indeed worthy of being the elder's favorite granddaughter in the entire Yi family. She already had the demeanor of someone in charge of the house. If someone could marry a good wife like her, he truly has good fortune. Don't think about it, she's already been snatched up by the Gu family. Didn't you see how the two of them were inseparable tonight? The two of them are truly an ideal couple, a pair made in heaven. Tisk, I'm just afraid someone won't stop pestering him. With that said, all the guests turned towards a certain figure seated at the corner. Actually, based on looks, Yi Wanwan's a cut above her. Also, she got into Imperial Media University with such high scores and even has friendly relations with old Mei. Everyone knew that saying a cut above was actually tactful. It wasn't even an exaggeration to say that Yi Wanwan's appearance today stunned everybody, not to mention her various surprising performances today. However, everyone knew that no matter how beautiful Yi Wanwan was and how outstanding she was, why did it matter? With Yi Shaoting in this current situation, Yi Wanwan could never compare to Yi. Even if she continued pestering Gu Yuzhe, they were both in different worlds. Everyone lamented over this. When Yi was done with her speech, Gu Yuzhe suddenly walked towards the stage. Yi glanced at the man. A tinge of hesitation appeared in her eyes. Gu Yuzhe held Yi's hand. His eyes filled with tenderness as he spoke gently. Yi, I know you care about your cousin's feelings, but please accept this as I'm begging you. Please think of yourself and think of me too. I want everyone to know, the whole world to know, that you're mine. Yi listened to Gu Yuzhe's words and was very moved. In the end, she nodded. Everyone saw how Gu Yuzhe suddenly rushed to the stage. Their eyes instinctively turned to Gu Yuzhe with a hunger for juicy gossip and curiosity, unsure of what Gu Yuzhe was planning to do. Only Yi Wanwan, who was in the corner, knew that tonight, not only was Gu Yuzhe announcing the annulment of their engagement, he was also making it publicly known that he and Yi would be engaged, crushing their entire family's hopes to the ground. Just because of this incident, she made a huge din in her previous life and completely embarrassed her parents. In this life, history seemed to repeat itself. Everyone, I'm very sorry, I'll need to take up a little of your time. Gu Yuzhe held the microphone and spoke suddenly. Everyone's eyes were on the tall and handsome man on stage, waiting for him to continue. Yi Wanwan raised her head, drank the last mouthful of tea in her cup and stood up. Yi Mu Fan saw Yi Wanwan stand up and immediately tensed up as instinctively grabbed her hand. Yi Wanwan, what are you trying to do? Yi Wanwan's cherry lips curled up slightly as she calmly removed her hand from Yi Mu Fan's grasp. None of your business. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Yi Mu Fan was so exasperated that he stopped caring and watched as Yi Wanwan made her way, step by step, towards the stage where Gu Yuzhe and Yi were. I knew she would lose her reasoning once she saw Gu Yuzhe. Now you guys believe me, huh? There was a trace of sorrow hidden in the darkness in Yi Mu Fan's eyes, and his fingers were almost white from clenching his fists. If it wasn't for this bastard, his relationship with his younger sister wouldn't have turned out this way. Liang Wanjun's eyes were filled with worry as she looked at her daughter. Mu Fan, don't say that about Wanwan. She changed a lot, so I believe she won't behave too rashly. Yi Xiaoting sighed and had nothing to say. Even if his daughter lost control and did something rash, he didn't have the ability to secure his daughter's happiness as her father, so he didn't have the right to blame or stop her. After noticing the red figure walking towards the stage, everyone's eyes shifted from Gu Yuze and Yi to Yi Wanwan. After all, Yi Wanwan's appearance and aura were too alluring wherever she went. She attracted everyone's attention. Gu Yuze looked at the girl making her way slowly towards the stage and his expression turned colder, bit by bit. To be fair, Yi Wanwan really changed his impression of her today, but that was about it. He would never marry a worthless woman, the daughter of an abandoned son. This kind of woman could probably be a lover or a sex partner, but she wasn't qualified to be his wife at all. Although Yi Wanwan's pestering had satisfied his vanity as a man, she overdid it and was rather irritating, especially on such an important day like today. When Yi Wanwan came closer, Gu Yuze immediately pulled Yi to his side to protect her, looking wary and on guard. Second young Mistress Yi, is anything the matter? A smile slowly appeared on Yi Wanwan's picturesque face as she said politely, Mr. Gu, may I have the microphone please? That smile was simply a look of fawning adoration, bedazzling all living things. Only the sound of the air conditioning running in the hall was heard. Even Gu Yuze went blank for a moment and narrowed his ice-cold eyes as his black pupils sized up the girl in front of him suspiciously. Yi Wanwan didn't speak either and stood there waiting. The audience exploded into a cacophony of excited murmurs. Both his new and old lovers appeared on the same stage. This is so exciting. What trouble is Yi Wanwan trying to stir up this time? Could it be a public confession of her love? Either that or she's going to make a scene. Anyway, it's not like she hasn't done any of this before. Seeing that Yi Wanwan had appeared on stage all of a sudden, Yi Hongwei's face turned slightly ugly and wanted to get someone to stop her, but Gu Yuze already passed the microphone over to Yi Wanwan. Thank you. Yi Wanwan took the microphone and thanked him courteously. Gu Yuze looked indifferent, not making any comment. Yi raised her head to look at Gu Yuze worried. Gu Yuze shot her a reassuring look. Even if Yi Wanwan wanted to make a scene, he didn't intend on stopping her. On the contrary, the more trouble Yi Wanwan caused, the more advantageous it was to him. Distinguished guests, friends, thank you for coming today. Yi Wanwan made all these pleasantries leisurely. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Her aura wasn't the least bit inferior to Yi's. On the contrary, her calm and relaxed expression looked like someone in charge of a household. After she exchanged some conventional greetings, Yi Wanwan finally got to the main point. Taking advantage of the fact that all my friends and family are here today, I'd like to take up a bit of your time to make an announcement. Make an announcement? There were murmurs around the hall instantly, curious about what Yi Wanwan was planning. At this moment, the old master called housekeeper Huang Mingkuan over and got him to prepare for any situation. A bright light flashed across Huang Mingkuan's eyes and he instantly called over a bunch of security guards on standby. Yi Mu Fan stared at the stage and drank a whole glass of wine in one go. A clear and melodious voice reverberated through the hall. Everyone knows that the chairman of the Gu Group, Gu Yuze, and I have an engagement. With that said, everybody revealed a knowing look and anticipated that she was going to talk more about this. Is she going to announce her sovereignty? Force him to submit? Seeing the two of them walking around as man and wife, completely ignoring her, how could she not be anxious? Yi Xiaoting's in this dire state today. He was chased out of his family and even has a buttload of debt to clear, so Yi Wanwan obviously has to cling on to this big pillar of support, Gu Yuze. While everyone whispered to each other, the girl on the stage continued, however, I'm very sorry to say that today, I'd like to announce to everyone that I, Yi Wanwan, would like to officially call off my engagement with Mr. Gu Yuze. The moment Yi Wanwan said the final word, the huge hall was so silent that even the drop of a pin could be heard. Nobody reacted to what Yuanwan said. After a long time, the deathly stillness in the hall instantly exploded into a loud rumble. What did Yuanwan just say? Call off the engagement? Is she nuts? She clung onto Gu Yuzhe like a piece of gum, so why would she call off the engagement now? She must be lying. That's unbelievable. On stage, Gu Yuzhe's face turned completely glacial. Yuanwan actually said she wants to call off the engagement with me voluntarily? Although he was prepared to announce this issue today, since Yuanwan got to it before him, it looked like he got dumped by Yuanwan. Agitated, Gu Yuzhe grabbed Yuanwan's wrist. Yuanwan, what did you say? Yuanwan didn't show any reaction on her face as she replied coldly, Mr. Gu, I understand that you're angry, but I'm very sorry, I really don't have any feelings for you. Please conduct yourself with dignity, don't make a big scene in front of all the guests. Yuanwan's words traveled to the ears of each and every one of them through the microphone. Do me making a big scene? Gu Yuzhe was so mad that his breathing was ragged. Yuanwan, you're loosening the reins to capture me, huh? You think too highly of yourself. Yuanwan withdrew her arm, rubbed her wrist and said indifferently, Mr. Gu, I'm afraid you're the one who thinks too highly of himself. I really have no feelings for you at all, I'm in love with someone else. Yuanwan's expression was too calm. She didn't have any reaction when she looked at Gu Yuzhe, and in everyone's eyes, it didn't look like she was faking it. In love with someone else. Hearing that, Gu Yuzhe seemed to have thought of something when his face stiffened. Could it be? Yuanwan looked at Gu Yuzhe's expression and said, Mr. Gu, who have you finally thought of? You've met him before, so I don't think you want to force me to say his name in front of everyone. The second Yuanwan said all this, her phone started blinking, indicating a notification from Weibo. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. The second Yuanwan said all this, her phone started blinking, indicating a notification from Weibo. A few minutes ago, outside the Yi family's old residence. Inside a certain car hidden in the shadows was a man sitting in the back seat with a cold expression. In the driver's seat, Su Yi had been cursing silently for almost half an hour. They were about to return to Jean Garden just now, but in the end, his master made him change route and said they were heading to another location. Then, halfway through the journey, his master suddenly told him to stop the car. He was unsure why his master wanted to go to this place they'd never seen before and why he asked him to stop the car halfway, but then he finally realized that the place where they stopped the car was close to the Yi family's old residence. Damn, going to the other location was a lie. He's deliberately passing by to see his lovely concubine, huh? Su Yi was cursing when Si Han's phone suddenly rang and his little heart thumped in fright. Following that, he took a glimpse and realized that the person calling was Yuanwan. Isn't this woman inside attending her grandfather's birthday banquet? Why is she calling master at this time? As his heart pumped rapidly, in the back seat, the man paused for a moment before picking up the call. In the next second, the girl's voice sounded from the phone. Mr. Gu, may I have the microphone, please? Hearing that, the eyes of the man in the back seat darkened. Su Yi froze. What's the meaning of this? Yuanwan seems to be speaking to someone else? And that person has the surname, Gu? Can't be. Gu Yuzhe, can it? Right after that, Yuanwan's voice continued on through the phone. Distinguished guests, friends. However, I'm very sorry to say that today, I'd like to announce to everyone that I, Yuanwan, would like to officially call off my engagement with Mr. Gu Yuzhe. Mr. Gu, I understand that you're angry, but I'm very sorry, I really don't have any feelings for you, I'm in love with someone else. At the same time in the banquet hall, after Gu Yuzhe heard Yuanwan's threat, a trace of iciness appeared in his eyes. He naturally didn't want people to know that his own fiancée actually became Si Han's woman. If it was any other man, he'd find him below his status. There weren't many rich sons in Imperial City he feared, but of all people, it had to be Si Han. Aristocratic families like his weren't even qualified to look up to the Si family. While Gu Yuzhe kept silent with a frozen expression, Yuanwan whipped her skirt around and left swiftly. At the scene, A couple of rich young masters gathered in a group and exclaimed in shock repeatedly. Did I just hear wrong? Our great Prince Gu has just been dumped by someone? More than just got dumped, his fiancée even announced that she's in love with another man and wants to call off the engagement. There's a Siberian plane on his head. I didn't expect that the great prince would see this day. Gu Yuze's plan tonight was perfect. Initially call off the engagement with Yi Wanwan, then announce the engagement between Yi and him. If Yi Wanwan made a big scene in between, it would be more advantageous to him. But he never imagined that Yi Wanwan would make a fool out of him in the end, and now, he seemed like the one who was jilted, in a manner most humiliating for a man. Gu Yuze wasn't the only one affected. Yi's gentle and delicate little face completely stiffened. Clearly, Yi Wanwan was the one who was supposed to be dumped, but Yi Wanwan messed things up, and now, it looked like she was picking up a man Yi Wanwan didn't want. Yi Mu Fan was wide awake right now, looking at Yi Wanwan like he'd just seen a ghost. Liang Wanjun and Yi Xiaoting's faces were filled with astonishment as well. They obviously didn't expect their daughter to do that. Was everything you said just now true? Liang Wanjun asked nervously. Yi Wanwan thought about this carefully beforehand. Previously, because of the estranged relationship with her parents, it didn't really matter, but now, it was too difficult to continue hiding the fact that she was with Si Han. They would find out sooner or later. Rather than letting her parents have wild speculations about her in the future, it was better she eliminate the danger now. Thus, Yi Wanwan nodded and replied, "Daddy, Mommy, it's true." Liang Wanjun was overjoyed at the unexpected news. "Where's he from? How old is he? What does he do? Is he reliable?" Yi Wanwan replied helplessly, "Cough, Mom, it's not a good time for me to go into the details today. Next time, I'll explain everything and bring him home to meet you." She considered this before and felt that it wasn't a solution in the long term. She had to think of a way to make Si Han less repulsive towards the people around her. Suddenly, Yi Wanwan heard a noise coming from her phone, and only then did she realize that forgot to switch it off and Si Han hadn't hung up as well. Yi Wanwan hung up the phone suspiciously. "What was that noise? Did I say anything wrong just now?" After hearing what their daughter said, Liang Wanjun and Yi Xiaoting finally eased up and nodded. Yi Wanwan stood in front of her parents and gave a gentle and lovable smile. "Daddy, Mommy, let's go home." Sure. Right here, right now, the husband and wife were finally sure that their willful and impetuous daughter had really changed. Before leaving, the whole family bid farewell to the old man. Yi Xiaoting and Liang Wanjun were worried that the old man would scold Yi Wanwan and was about to speak up on her behalf. However, before the old man could make things difficult for them, Yi Wanwan hung her head low and apologized of her own accord. "Grandpa, I'm sorry, Wanwan was too rash today, but if this continues to drag on, it's a pain for me, for Gu Yuze and for Cousin Yi. It'd be better to take swift and ruthless action now and settle things once and for all. In the past, I was too possessive, but I've straightened out my thinking and decided that I want to live my life to the fullest." Yi Wanwan looked like she was suffering and enduring pain as she spoke. It was as if she had concealed innumerable grievances and sorrows. The old man had a bellyful of fury initially, but after seeing the girl hanging her head low and biting her lips, he couldn't be angry at her anymore. What should he be mad about? Mad that she called off the engagement without permission? But it was true that her engagement with that Gu chap had ceased to exist except in name long ago. Things were exactly as she said. There were no benefits for the three of them if they dragged things on. As for telling everyone that she called off the engagement because she was in love with someone else, bearing the charge of betraying her fiancé, that was totally groundless. Ultimately, Gu Yuze already acted like a couple with Yi in public while he was still engaged, so he was really in no position to criticize Yi Wanwan for her behavior. So in the end, Yi Hongwei realized that he couldn't even speak one word of criticism towards her. On the contrary, seeing the way his granddaughter treated that chap from the Gu family different from how she used to, and seeing as she took the initiative to cut off all relations, he actually found that their Yi family had some character. Alright, just this once. Go home. After thinking for a while, Yi Hongwei said just these 6 words. Yi Wanwan nodded obediently. And goodbye, Grandpa. Take care of your health. I'll visit you often. Usually, Yi Hongwei didn't allow their family into the old residence, but hearing what Yi Wanwan said, he didn't deny them entry and simply nodded in response. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. My foot's fault. Just now when he heard that Yi Wanwan wanted to bring his master back home to meet her parents, he got so unsettled that he accidentally stepped on the accelerator. Su-yi got into such a big fright that his soul flew out of him. He trembled as he picked up his master's phone that fell from his hands and handed it over. Then when he lifted his gaze, he saw an expression that had never appeared before on his master's face. It was like he had confronted a formidable enemy and met a thorny problem. But what's for sure was that it didn't have any signs of anger. Master couldn't be nervous because he'll be meeting his in-laws, could he? Su-yi quickly brushed away the nonsensical thoughts in his head. Cough. Master, should we wait for Miss Wanwan? Return to Jean Garden. Got it. The banquet came to an end as the guests left one after another. With forced smiles, Yi and Guyuze stood by the door to send the guests off. In her previous life, after these two announced their engagement, they received blessings from all the guests, but at this moment, all they got were the weird looks from the guests. Yi Wanwan walked out of the old residence and caught sight of a black car driving away slowly a short distance away. She couldn't help but feel terrified. That car, why does it look so familiar? Wanwan, what's wrong? Liang Wanjun asked. Mommy, I'm fine. Yi Wanwan shook her head, then held her mother's hand and said, Daddy, Mommy, let's go home. I've already got someone to move your luggage into the villa. When Liang Wanjun heard that, she turned to Yi Wanwan worried. Well, did you really get the house back? Yi Xiaoting also spoke solemnly. As far as I know, after that house was auctioned off, Chu Hongguang bought it. Yi Wanwan nodded. That's right. I got it back from Chu Hongguang's hands. Yi Xiaoting was surprised. What? That old fox, how did you? Yi Wanwan knew what her parents were worried about and gave them both an assuring look. Daddy, Mommy, you don't have to worry, I definitely got the house back through proper means. I'll tell you the details later. Liang Wanjun and Yi Xiaoting looked at their daughter's calm and composed manner and felt at ease as they nodded. Yi Mu Fan stood by the side. Strangely, he started to recall what Yi Wanwan said to him over the phone that day. I'll be the one taking care of and protecting Mom and Dad next time. I'll get revenge for the Yi family. At that time, he thought she was just indulging in fantasy and was too naive, or it was just a spur-of-the-moment thing. He didn't expect that in just a short few months, she accomplished her lofty goals to this extent. Liang Wanjun seemed to have thought of something as she hesitated before speaking. Wanwan, does your boyfriend know about our family situation? Yi Wanwan nodded, and he does. And he doesn't mind. Liang Wanjun and Yi Xiaoting were naturally worried that their family status would affect their daughter's happiness. In order to make her parents feel reassured, Yi Wanwan pondered to herself for a moment, then replied firmly, Daddy, Mommy, don't worry. He's not someone from our circle, he's just a normal guy, ordinary working adult, very honest and considerate, and isn't too good-looking. Yi Wanwan felt that this lie might have used up an entire lifetime's worth of power. Yi Xiaoting was indeed reassured after hearing that and was very pleased. All right, normal is good. He doesn't need to be rich or noble. Even if he looks average, it's fine. As long as he treats you well, that's good enough. Liang Wanjun also expressed her satisfaction. Men turn bad easily when they're wealthy, and it's unsafe if they're too good-looking. Mommy's also worried that you wouldn't be able to manage a guy like that. So, it's better this way. Yi Wanwan, cough, N. The family was about to leave when Liang Jiahao's voice came from behind. Jia. Liang Wanjun paused and looked at Liang Jiahao without any emotion in her eyes. The amount she doted on her little brother before was proportionate to how disappointed she was in him now. The disappointment accumulated all these years, and now, there was no sadness left, only numbness. Jia, are you all really moving out? Liang Jiahao asked. Liang Wanjun glanced at her daughter and said resolutely, we've troubled you for a long time. Jia. Liang Jiahao sighed. I know that you and brother-in-law helped us a lot. I'm sorry, I'm really in a tough spot. About the company, will brother-in-law still be working? Yi Wanwan stood by the side and sneered. After so much talking, all he wants to know is whether dad will be working at the company still? Liang Jiahao treated her dad as if he had the capabilities of many people and even used him like a slave. Obviously, he couldn't bear to part with such cost-effective labor. This uncle of hers had no management skills at all. With her father around to help him, he was naturally very relaxed. But this family pretended to be mistreated after being granted a favor. Before her father could reply, Yi Wanwan said, like cousin Shirhan said, how can us kids tire out our parents? With that said, they had nothing to do with Liang Jiahao's family anymore. It was fine if they took care of each other as relatives, but this family of ingrates was worse than a bunch of strangers. Behind him, Fang Xiumin got anxious when she heard that. How could you do that? The company has many projects only halfway done. It's too irresponsible of him to just leave like that. Yi Wanwan laughed. Oh, irresponsible? Then why doesn't my father become the boss and have complete responsibility? I suddenly remembered that my dad put in an investment to start this company before too, right? You're dreaming. Fang Xiumin's expression changed immediately. Unlike how Auntie dreams, Yi Wanwan said, chuckling. She then said in a reassuring tone, Auntie, don't be nervous, whether it's the house or the company, we're not interested in them at all. After all, we don't have a habit of picking up bones we throw out. This tone of voice was obviously mocking them as a family that was worse than pigs and dogs. Yi Wanwan couldn't be bothered to continue bickering with this family, so she dragged her parents out and left. Fang Xiumin was so mad that she yelled furiously at Liang Jiahao. You're just standing there letting that stupid girl bully me like that, not saying a single word to defend me? Seeing Liang Jiahao still kept his silence, Fang Xiumin gave him a shove. Say something. Yi Xiaoting's gone now, so who's going to manage all the things in the company? Liang Shirhan stared at Yi Wanwan's retreating figure with jealousy. Mommy let them leave. They're just a bunch of stray dogs, what's there to be mad about? Can't the company survive without him, huh? Fang Xiumin took a deep breath. Shirhan's right, they're just a bunch of stray dogs. What's there to be mad about? In the future, your Auntie Mei Xian and Yi Jie will help us. Who wants this lousy house and lousy company? Liang Shirhan nodded continuously. Right now, half of the showbiz belongs to Uncle's Yi Group, and Yi Jie's the director of talent recruitment at Emperor Sky while brother-in-law's the chairman of Emperor Sky. That family can't even find a job yet they still dare to think about making a comeback. They're truly indulging in fantasies. Golden Seas, I have some business to attend to so I'll get going first. They were already at the door but Yi Mu Fan didn't enter. It's so late, where are you heading to? Liang Wanjun watched helplessly as her son left. Yi Xiaoting's face darkened and there was tiredness in his eyes. Forget it, don't bother with him. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Daddy, Mommy, don't worry, I'll try to persuade Yi, Yi Wanwan said reassuringly as an iciness flashed across her eyes. With her older brother acting like that, if she wanted him to come to his senses, she had to do something drastic. She'd better come up with a good plan. 1. You're a good girl. Seeing their daughter being so sensible, Liang Wanjun and Yi Xiaoting were relieved. The villa had a specialized housekeeper who got someone to maintain the upkeep of the villa every month, so although it had been a long time since somebody lived in it, it was still very clean and tidy. The expensive furnishings in the house had been auctioned off, but the other items were still there. Yi Wanwan looked at this utterly familiar place and was misty-eyed. I'm finally home. Actually, they only lived in this little house before because it was located in a rare district, built on a very valuable piece of land, and her mother liked the surrounding neighborhood so they hadn't moved after so many years. The house wasn't big and since it was built many years ago, it was somewhat old. When she earned enough money in the future, she'd get them a better place. Yi Wanwan was afraid her parents would worry, so she didn't dare tell them about the things she did with Chu Hongguang. She only mentioned that she helped a friend when he was at his lowest and lent him some cash, so the house was gifted to her by her friend in order to repay her. She mentioned that she was also helping that friend in his studio and interning there now. The family of three hadn't seen each other in a long time, so they chatted on and on. Other than asking about her, Liang Wanjun and Yi Xiaoting also asked many questions about that ordinary and honest boyfriend. Wanwan, that person you like, is he this Yi Bai friend you're talking about? Liang Wanjun probed. Cough cough. No, not that friend. Mommy, I know you and Daddy are worried that I'll take the same disastrous road and get tricked again. But don't worry. Basically, he's nothing like Guyu Zhe disregarding his morals for profits or tricking me for money and power. My boyfriend will do nothing of that sort to me. Yi Wanwan said all this without a change in her expression. That Si Han I'm talking about. He, himself, is the embodiment of money and power, so what amount of money and power can make him disregard his moral principles for profits? Wait till our relationship matures a little more, and I'll definitely bring him to meet the both of you. Wait till I think of a way to make the great devil look more ordinary. At night, Yi Wanwan chatted with her parents for a very long time, but since she had to work the next day, she eventually bid farewell to her parents reluctantly and returned to the hostel. The night air was as cool as water. A crescent moon hung overhead in the empty sky. The taxi was halfway to the hostel when Yi Wanwan suddenly told the driver to stop. After paying the fare, she walked over to a food stall in the downtown area. Tonight at Grandpa's banquet, she had almost nothing to eat. She also didn't feel the hunger when she was chatting with her parents just now, but at this moment, her tummy was crazily protesting for food. Inside the food stall, although the decorations weren't high class, it was simple and the smells of the food attacked her senses from all around. Unlike luxurious restaurants, these kinds of places were usually where good, authentic food could be found. Alright, maybe it's just because I'm feeling a little stingy tonight. Yi Wanwan picked a secluded corner and sat down. Miss, what would you like? The boss was a middle-aged man and was startled when he got a closer look at the girl's appearance in the dark corner. He immediately put on a wide smile and brought the menu over. Let me see, give me 1 sweet and sour pork ribs, 1 roasted pork, 1 steamed crucian carp, 20 mutton skewers, 10 pork skewers, 10 crispy bones. That's right, my master would never disregard his morals for profits, he'll disregard his morals for love. Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. Yi Wanwan ordered quite a bit of food in one breath. She considered all this food a reward for herself. Furthermore, it wasn't very expensive to order so much at a place like this. The boss kept sizing Yi Wanwan up. Girls these days were usually on a diet, so he didn't expect to see someone act so unconventionally. Of course, as a boss, he really liked this kind of customer. Alright, coming right up. The food stall was a little busy, so the boss didn't stay long and left immediately after taking Yi Wanwan's order. Yi Wanwan took out her phone and initially wanted to send a text to Yi Han, but all of a sudden, a somewhat familiar voice came from behind her. Boss, get me 5 bowls of dumplings. Yi Wanwan looked to the side and saw a young man dressed in a tattered and old denim jacket walking briskly into the food stall. Nameless. Yeah. Yi Wanwan was surprised. At that moment, Yi Wanwan instantly turned her head, afraid that Nameless Nya would recognize her. She even felt slightly guilty. After all, she actually bought a precious treasure from him for just $100. What if this guy saw her and regretted selling it to her? Very soon, Nameless Nya found a round table and sat down, rushing the boss incessantly. Hurry up, boss. Minced meat for my dumplings, and remember to wrap big ones. Oh right, how much does a bowl of dumplings cost? After some time, Nameless Nya seemed to remember he had to pay for them. $10. The boss, who was cooking, responded. Oh. The young man thought deeply for a moment, and the corners of his mouth moved slightly as if he was making an important decision. I'll have 6 bowls. After some time, the boss presented 6 bowls of dumplings on his table. In just a few minutes, nameless Nye managed to finish off all the dumplings. Boss, I've ordered so many dumplings. Do you want to give me some roast pork ribs, roast fish, or something for free? Nameless Nye asked eagerly. Are you kidding me? The boss laughed. 6 bowls of dumplings cost $60. One of my roast meat already costs much more. Oh, nameless Nye thought. That won't do then. You should give me another 2 bowls of dumplings. The boss gave nameless Nye a sidelong glance. He probably couldn't be bothered to entertain him anymore. After nameless Nye spoke, another person entered the stall. This guy had a stocky build, his body was covered in dust, he was wearing a green construction safety cap, and both his eyes were sky blue. You'd know with just one look that he was a foreigner. Captain, why didn't you tell me that you're eating shit? The foreigner wearing the construction cap said seriously as he sat down in front of nameless Nye. Hearing that, nameless Nye's face changed slightly. Boss, I'd like to eat shit, give me some shit. The foreigner friend turned to the boss, speaking in his very out-of-practice Mandarin. Not far off, Yuan just started devouring her food, and after she heard the conversation, she spat out the rice in her mouth instantly. Are you insane? Coming to my stall to eat shit? Why don't you go to the toilet if you want to eat shit? The boss stared at the foreigner, completely speechless. No, boss. My friend's Mandarin isn't great. He said that he wants shit. Actually, he meant rice. Nameless Nye pulled the boss to one side, explaining softly. Boss, get me some shit, not too expensive but it has to taste great. The foreigner stroked his chin innocently. Sure, I'll get you some shit. The boss didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he turned and left. Yuan's sharp ears overheard the conversation between nameless Nye and the boss, and she was speechless too. She reckoned that the foreigner had been fooled by nameless Nye, who probably told him that the word shit meant rice. Such an annoying person actually exists? Liked it? Take a second to support novels on Patreon. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.